Hello! Today we're going to review the fundamental rules for safe and legal forklift operation. OSHA has very specific requirements in this area, so let's get prepared for you to pass that certification on the first try. Here are the key questions for the Forklift Operator Certification Exam. What federal agency regulates forklift safety in the United States? OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. OSHA sets and enforces the standards that keep forklift operators and everyone around them safe. Knowing these rules is not optional, it's the law. Let's continue. What OSHA standard covers powered industrial truck safety? 29 CFR 1910. 178. That is the specific regulation number you need to know. Everything in forklift safety traces back to this standard. Next question. How often must forklift operators be evaluated and certified? Every 3 years. Certification is not a one-time event. Every 3 years, your skills and knowledge must be formally re-evaluated by a qualified trainer. Let's move on. What must happen before an uncertified employee operates a forklift? They must complete training and be evaluated by a qualified trainer. No exceptions, no shortcuts. An uncertified operator on a forklift is an OSHA violation and a serious safety risk. Continuing. Who is responsible for ensuring forklift operators are trained and certified? The employer. The responsibility sits with the employer, not the employee. If an operator is uncertified, it is the employer who faces the OSHA citation. Next point. What are the 3 types of forklift stability that make up the stability triangle? Longitudinal, lateral, and dynamic stability. Understanding all 3 types of stability is essential. A forklift can tip in any direction, front to back, side to side, or while in motion. Let's keep going. What is the stability triangle on a forklift? The area between the 2 front wheels and the rear axle pivot point that determines tipping risk. The forklift stays upright as long as the combined center of gravity, machine plus load, stays within that triangle. The moment it shifts outside, the forklift tips. Next question. What causes a forklift to tip forward? Carrying a load beyond the rated capacity, or with the forks raised too high. Raising the forks shifts the center of gravity forward and upward. Heavy load plus raised forks is one of the most common causes of forward tip-overs. Let's continue. What causes a forklift to tip sideways? Turning too fast, especially with a raised or heavy load. Speed and height are the 2 biggest enemies of lateral stability. Slow down before every turn, especially when loaded. Next point. Where is the load center on a standard forklift? 24 inches from the face of the forks. That 24-inch standard load center is the basis for the rated capacity on the data plate. Every load calculation starts from that number. Let's move on. What happens to a forklift capacity rating as the load center increases? The capacity decreases as the load center moves further from the forks. Think of it like a lever. The further the weight is from the fulcrum, the less the machine can safely lift. Always account for load center before picking up unusual or oversized loads. Continuing. What must an operator check before picking up a load? The weight of the load, and verify it does not exceed the forklift's rated capacity. Never assume a load is within capacity. Verify the weight every time. An overloaded forklift is an accident waiting to happen. Next question. Where is the rated capacity of a forklift displayed? On the data plate attached to the forklift. The data plate is your authority for what that specific machine can and cannot do. Consult it before any unusual lift. Let's keep going. What information is on the forklift data plate? Rated capacity, load center, weight of the forklift, and fuel type. 4 critical pieces of information on one plate. Know how to read all of them. The exam will test each one. Next point. What must an operator do if the data plate is missing or illegible? Remove the forklift from service until the plate is replaced. Without a readable data plate, there is no safe way to verify the machine's limits. A forklift without a data plate does not operate, period. Let's continue. What is the correct fork height when traveling with a load? 4 to 6 inches above the ground. High enough to clear floor irregularities, low enough to maintain stability. That 4 to 6 inch window is the safe travel zone. Next question. What is the correct mast tilt position when traveling with a load? Tilted back fully, to stabilize the load against the backrest. Tilting back brings the load's weight closer to the forklift's center of gravity. It is the single most important mast position habit a driver can develop. Let's move on. What is the maximum speed typically permitted for forklifts in a warehouse? Determined by facility rules, but generally 5 miles per hour in pedestrian areas. Know your facility's specific speed rules before you operate. In pedestrian zones, slowing to a walking pace is the standard most facilities enforce. Continuing, what must a forklift operator do at an intersection inside a warehouse? Slow down, sound the horn, and proceed only when the path is clear. Warehouse intersections are blind corners by design. Slow down, horn, look, every single time, without exception. Next point, what is the safe practice when a forklift load blocks the operator's forward view? Travel in reverse, or use a spotter. If you cannot see where you're going, you cannot safely drive forward. Reverse travel or a spotter are not optional, they are the required response. Let's keep going. What is the rule for pedestrians and forklifts sharing a workspace? Pedestrians always have the right of way and forklifts must yield. A forklift versus a pedestrian is never a fair contest. Yield every time, without hesitation. It is both the rule and the right thing to do. Next question. What must be done before leaving a forklift unattended? Lower forks to the ground, neutralize controls, shut off the engine, and set the parking brake. All 4 steps, every time. A forklift left running with raised forks in a warehouse is a catastrophic hazard for everyone nearby. Let's continue. When is a forklift considered unattended? When the operator is more than 25 feet away, or the forklift is out of sight. 25 feet is not far. If you're stepping away even briefly, follow the full parking procedure. The distance threshold comes fast. Next point, what is the rule for parking a forklift on a slope? Block the wheels in addition to setting the parking brake. Parking brakes can fail. On any slope, wheel blocks are the backup that prevents a runaway forklift. Both are required, not one or the other. Let's move on. What must a forklift operator do before getting off the forklift on a slope? Lower the forks, set the brake, put it in neutral, and block the wheels before exiting. The sequence matters. Complete every step before you leave the seat. Exiting first and then trying to block the wheels on a slope is already too late. Continuing, what pre-shift inspection is required before operating a forklift? A documented inspection checking fluid levels, tires, forks, mast, brakes, lights, horn, and steering. Documented means written down and signed. A mental note is not a pre-shift inspection under OSHA standards. Next question. What must an operator do if a defect is found during the pre-shift inspection? Remove the forklift from service and report it to a supervisor before operating. A defective forklift does not operate, regardless of workload or schedule pressure. Tag it out and report it. That's the rule. Let's keep going. What is the rule for refueling a propane forklift? Shut off the engine before changing the propane tank, and do it in a ventilated area away from ignition sources. Propane is highly flammable. An open flame or a running engine near a propane tank change can cause a fire or explosion instantly. Next point, what is the rule for charging an electric forklift battery? Charge only in a designated area with ventilation to prevent hydrogen gas buildup. Charging batteries release hydrogen gas, which is explosive. A designated, ventilated charging area is not a convenience, it is a safety requirement. Let's continue. What must be worn when changing or charging a forklift battery? Safety glasses and acid-resistant gloves and apron. Battery acid causes severe chemical burns on contact. The PPE is the barrier between you and a serious injury. Wear all of it, every time. Next question. What is the correct way to pick up a load on a pallet? Insert forks fully under the load, centered and level, before lifting. Fully under means the tips of the forks extend through and beyond the pallet. Partially inserted forks under a heavy load can collapse the pallet and drop the cargo. Let's move on. How should uneven or irregularly shaped loads be handled? Use additional securing methods like straps or a load backrest, and approach extra carefully. An irregular load shifts its center of gravity unpredictably. Secure it before you lift it, not after it starts to slide. Continuing, what is the rule for stacking loads in a rack? Never exceed the rack weight capacity, and ensure the load is stable before releasing. The rack has its own weight limit, separate from the forklifts. Overloading a rack can cause a collapse that brings down an entire aisle of inventory. Next point, what is the correct approach angle when picking up a load? Straight on, perpendicular to the load. Approaching at an angle puts uneven stress on the forks and pallet. Straight in, every time, ensures the load is centered and balanced before the lift. Let's keep going. What is the rule for driving a forklift on a ramp or incline with a load? Drive with the load uphill, whether going up or coming down. Load uphill means load in front going up, load behind going down. This keeps the weight distribution on the correct side of the stability triangle at all times. Next question. What is the rule for driving a forklift on a ramp without a load? Drive with the forks pointing downhill. No load means no uphill weight advantage. Forks down on the way down prevents the rear of the forklift from lifting on a steep grade. Let's continue. What surface conditions are dangerous for forklift operation? Wet floors, oil spills, loose gravel, uneven surfaces, and floor grates. Any of these conditions can cause a loss of traction or stability. Slow down, assess before you enter, and report hazardous surfaces to a supervisor. Next point. What is the correct response if a forklift begins to tip over? Stay in the seat, grip the wheel, brace your feet, and lean away from the tip direction. Every instinct says jump, but jumping is what gets operators killed. The seatbelt and ROPS structure protect you inside the machine. Stay in it. Let's move on. Why should an operator never jump from a tipping forklift? The forklift can land on the operator, causing fatal crushing injuries. A forklift weighs several tons. An operator outside the cab when it tips has no protection. The seat is the safest place to be when a tip begins. Continuing. What are the OSHA classes of powered industrial trucks? Classes I through 7, based on power source and design, including electric counterbalanced rider trucks, rough terrain forklifts, and others. Each class has different characteristics and hazards. Know which class you're operating and the specific rules that apply to it. Next question. What is a Class 1 forklift? Electric motor rider trucks, including counterbalanced sit-down forklifts. Class 1 is the most common type in warehouse environments. Electric-powered, indoor use, sit-down operation. Let's keep going. What is a Class 4 forklift? Internal combustion engine trucks with cushion tires, used on smooth indoor surfaces. Cushion tires mean smooth floors only. Class 4 machines are not designed for outdoor or uneven terrain. That's what Class 7 is for. Next point. What is a Class 7 forklift? Rough terrain forklifts designed for outdoor, uneven surfaces. Class 7 machines are built for construction sites and outdoor yards. Their stability rules and operational limits differ significantly from indoor forklifts. Let's continue. What does the acronym PPE stand for in forklift safety? Personal protective equipment. PPE is your last line of defense when other safety measures fail. Know what your facility requires and wear it consistently, not just when supervisors are watching. Next question. What PPE is typically required for forklift operators? Safety shoes, high visibility vest, and hard hat in many facilities. Requirements vary by facility and industry, but these 3 items are the most common baseline. Always confirm your specific workplace requirements. Let's move on. What is the rule about passengers on a forklift? No riders are permitted unless the forklift has a specifically designed second seat. A forklift is not a taxi. An unauthorized passenger has no protection in the event of a tip over or sudden stop. One operator, one machine, always. Continuing. What is the safe way to raise a person using a forklift? Only with an approved work platform secured to the forks, and the operator remaining at the controls. The approved platform is the only acceptable method. Sitting on the forks or standing on a pallet is never acceptable under any circumstances. Next point. What is the minimum aisle width recommended for a counterbalanced forklift? At least the width of the load plus 3 feet on each side. That clearance is the minimum for safe travel and turning. Narrower aisles mean slower speeds, more caution, and a greater risk of striking shelving or pedestrians. Let's keep going. What is the rule when a forklift and pedestrian approach a blind corner? The forklift must slow to a crawl, sound the horn, and yield to the pedestrian. Blind corners are the most dangerous spots in any